I recently went to the biggest hobby show in Japan, maybe even the world, and it was super fun. But I wasn't just there for the cool dioramas, full-size DeLorean, or Gunpla idol group. I was there on a mission to find all of the miniature painters and wargamers at the show, if any. Now, to be honest, this was actually my second time at the show. The event is held in Shizuoka City, which is only about an hour and a half by train from where I live here in Japan, and it's completely free for guests, so there's kind of no reason not to go. However, last year I ended up going in the afternoon on a Sunday, so a lot of people had already left and I missed a few things. Also, I was pretty surprised by how few miniatures and 3D printed models I found there. These are still pretty new hobbies here in Japan and not so popular yet. So this year I gave myself a special mission. To promote these hobbies, I decided to print out a few dozen copies of my own miniature, the Scavenger Captain, to give out as gifts. Plus, they have a cheeky little QR code printed on the base, so they kind of double as a business card. Let me know if you want to learn how to do that yourself, and I might make a quick little video on it. Once the day finally rolled around, I bagged up my little handouts and headed off for Shizuoka. Unfortunately, on the day of the event, it was pouring rain outside, and having spent most of my time the night before preparing my gifts, I was woefully underprepared. But once I got inside, I was greeted by one of the most excited and happy crowds of like-minded nerds I've ever seen in my life. It was awesome to see so many people come out and just be excited to share their passion and love for this hobby. This year I arrived kind of early on a Saturday, and it was pretty packed, so I had to kind of plan out what I was going to see. One side of the convention center held booths for some of the big names in the industry, especially Tamiya and Bandai, which are both based out of Shizuoka and the main reason for the hobby show being there. On the other side, there were a few more booths and a huge section for hobbyists and clubs to display their work. Since I knew that that was probably where I would spend the bulk of my time at the show, I decided to check out the big booths first, just to kind of get that out of the way. These days, I've been so focused on 3D printing and making my own models that I haven't really paid much attention to what's happening in the industry. So it was a really good opportunity to see some of the new models coming out from the larger companies and see some of the new smaller companies that are up and coming. Plus, there were some really cool displays on this side of the convention center. For one, there was a full-size Back to the Future DeLorean with sound effects and everything. Tamiya had set up a full injection molding machine right on the convention floor, and you could go up and get a fresh sprue right out of the machine, which is super cool. They were doing this last year as well, and I still haven't put that model together yet, so I decided not to wait in line for this one, but it was really fun to watch. Bandai, on the other hand, was displaying a whole bunch of kits that would be coming out soon, including some that I was pretty interested in, though I'm not usually a fan of Gundam. They were even displaying a Gunpla idol group, which was building kits and chatting right there in a little box. And each member of the group even has their own special kits, which I guess are coming out soon. So that was interesting. I don't know, you do you, Japan. But besides those big companies, there were also just a ton of tool makers and niche model makers who were displaying their products as well. And I saw some really cool upcoming kits. Seeing all of these cool kits was really tempting, but I'm trying not to buy any large model kits, especially since I'm mostly focused on making my own models these days. But I did splurge on one little kit that I've had my eye on for a while. This is from Koviko, and they make these really cool little well-packaged kits that I sometimes see at the hobby shop. But this one is a little bit of a limited edition color, I think. I'm pretty sure. And I think it'll be good for a diorama for Diluvian. So keep an eye on the channel for when I put this together. I also decided to get myself a copy of this book from the diorama maker Masaki. If you're like me, then you've eyed some of these dioramas on Instagram a whole lot before, and he was a big inspiration for me deciding to make my own Diluvian models. So to support him and just get some cool ideas, I picked up this book. Plus, on the day of the event, he was having a signing, so I even got him to sign my copy. This book is pretty cool. It has a ton of really cool pictures, as well as a whole bunch of process shots. And it has Japanese and English. So after that, and eating a little bit of lunch, it was finally time to head out onto the floor to search for some miniature painters. This is by far my favorite part of the show. There were so many cool things to see. Everything from elaborate and detailed military dioramas to custom, overblown Gundam models, and all of it was super inspiring. Plus, I even found some really cool kit bash models, and even a set of models done entirely out of wood. These were mind-blowing. I have no idea how he did it. I was utterly blown away by all of the creativity on display. And the best part is that everyone was so nice and friendly and willing to talk about their work and how they made it. People were constantly stopping just to talk shop and trade tips and ideas and just enjoy this hobby together. And for a hobby that's usually done by yourself at home, this was so refreshing to see. But I was on a mission, and after a bit of searching and one or two slightly awkward conversations, I did eventually find some miniature painters. I ended up finding only about 10 tables in total that had any miniatures on them at all. And some of the people who painted those miniatures weren't actually at the table or at the show at all. So I just passed off my gift to their clubmates, hoping that it would find them eventually. I did get to talk to some of the miniature painters directly, and they were really excited to chat about our little corner of the hobby. Although miniature painting is not that common here in Japan, it is getting more popular. And everyone who is doing it, at least that I could see, is really, really good. I usually only get to see my own work, at least in person, and that's mediocre at best. So it was really inspiring to see people come out from all over the country to display their pieces. And some groups even came from overseas to show off theirs. Seeing all of that hard work and creativity just really inspires me to make more models and get better at painting. Now, that said, I enjoyed all of the work there at the show, and personally, I feel more inspired than ever to get back into kit bashing and diorama building. I hope that by sharing this experience, I've given you a little bit of inspiration too. Alright, back to work on my own project. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.